आवाज आ रही है? आवाज आ रहा है? We'll wait for a moment to just check that everything is going fine. We'll wait for a moment to just check that. Right, to have a very quick overview without wasting much time, because now you have to give exam on 5th of May, right? So without wasting much time, I thought that quickly we'll have a review of some things related to biology, because you have out of 720, you have 360 for your biology. So I thought we'll go with this particular family. You are now with your own family. Some people, they are studying at different places, so they are away from their family. Some people are on the way of making new family, but let us keep those things apart. So talking about the family today, that is your Malvaceae, the cotton family or the mallow family, right? You talk about that Malvaceae, right? You know those China rose, right? We all know that China rose or hibiscus or that shoe flower, right? So that particular family is your Malvaceae. I know you all messed up whether there are going to be questions on this or not, and they have all these 5 new families added. So what about the older families? So I thought that every day we'll have at least discussion on 2 families. So within 2 days we can do that. आपने इतना सब पढ़ लिया तो ये 2-3 फैमिली आपको क्या ही करने वाली है. So remove that from your mind first कि ये फैमिली है या नहीं है, क्या है या whatever. इन्होंने दिया है, you have to study these 5 families, right? So we'll go with that. So quickly I'll give only a very brief. Brief means, as I told, a very short overview. Many people think that brief is a long overview. It is not a long overview, a very short overview about these particular families. So it is your mucilage, right? That is those sticky substance which you get in the fruit, in the flower, right? So that is what is called as your mucilage. So it has mucilage in your stem, it has mucilage in your fruit there. It has stellate or star-like, what you call as hair-like structures present on the shoot, right? So you have this mucilage, you have this stellate in the hair in this Malvaceae family, the shoe flower family, the cotton family, or bhindi family. One of the most favorite vegetables of all students out there is your bhindi. That is your lady's finger. So these plants, they are fiber-yielding plants. You get all those hemp plants. They also belong to this particular family. So things to remember, few things as I told. मैं 2-3 चीजें बताऊंगा, फिर आने वाले वीडियोस में आप कनेक्टेड रहो, आगे भी और कुछ चीजें बताऊंगा. तो क्विकली याद रखना है कि ये ब्रैक्टिएट है. It has a big green, what you call as bract, and these are actually simple leaves, and therefore they appear that big and green, right? We all have seen a hibiscus flower, so try to remember that, right? I didn't get a flower, it was not season right now. Maybe in upcoming videos we'll have. Oh, so it is actinomorphic, as you can see. So the flower is actinomorphic. It is completely radially symmetrical, right? It is bisexual. You can see both male as well as female. You have both androecium as well as gynoecium present in the flower. It has apicalyx, which ranges to around 3 to 7. So apicalyx is around, like they are small bracteoles which are there, and these are green in color, attached to this pedicel, and they have a valvate estivation. So here you can see this is, where is my pen? I forget my pen. See here and there. Okay, so you have this particular structure. What you can see is your apicalyx. So around 3 to 7 apicalyx with valvate estivation, free ones you can see. Then you have calyx, right, which is again 5 in number. You can see it is Gamocephalus, right? So 5 in number, you can see there is Gamocephalus. So this is what you can see is your calyx. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in number and Gamocephalus. It has a valvate estivation. You can find them on fruits. So sometimes the calyx is persistent. So even you can find them on the fruit. So there you have that in the fruit, like Abelmoschus esculentus, that is your bhindi, okra, or your gossypium. In the cotton seed also you can find that there is this fruit, there is this what you call as calyx. So you can find this calyx. So you have to remember, in this family, some flowers can have a persistent calyx. So you can see them on the fruit, right? Then you have corolla, which is 5 in number. So you will find that it is pentamerous, right? So it is pentamerous. It seems to be free, right? So it is free, it is pentamerous, it is twisted estivation. Yeah, so here you can see that the estivation is twisted, right? You remember that when one is in and one is out, then that is what is called as twisted. So pentamerous twisted estivation, they are attractive, they are variously colored. We all love that hibiscus flower. You have androecium, which have infinite what you call as stamens, but the here characteristic feature is they show a phenomenon of adelphi, you know, where the filaments they are fused, whereas the anthers they are free. So all the filaments they are fused to form that, you all have seen that tube, like the anther tube here, and the what you call as anthers which are there, they are free. So you have this staminal tube, so there is only one tube, remember? So there was this monadelphous stamen. So monadelphous because it has only one particular what you call as tube there, right? So you also have examples of diadelphous, you have polyadelphous. Can you give me an example of diadelphous? Anyone there can give me an example of diadelphous? Anyone there? Diadelphous. Example of diadelphous? You can type in the comment box. Anyone there? Oh, I ask questions and they keep on leaving. Anyways, so diadelphous, as I told, I'll not expect much from you, but I'll only tell you, you know that pea plant, it has diadelphous stamen. It has those 9 in one bundle and 1 in one bundle. So it has that diadelphous stamen. You know polyadelphous? Yes, it is the citrus plant which has many such what you call as things. So this is what is called as adelphi. So in adelphi, what is fused? Filaments are fused. What is free? Anthers are free. So you're forming monadelphous. The anthers which are there, they are kidney shaped. Remember, they are monothecous. Mostly it is diathecous here, but here you have to remember that they are monothecous. You have a staminal tube or staminal canal, and then you talk about this gynoecium. I forgot to tell about androecium, that is united to petals. The base of that particular tube may be united to the petals. So here you can see that the petals which are there, so this is united here. So we have shown it like this, and you know this is called as epipetalous, right? So it is epipetalous. Gynoecium, you can see it is pentacarpillary or it can be polycarpillary also. It is incompletely syncarpous, remember, because you will find that the style is fused, but the stigma are free, right? So stigma, it is free, so it is incompletely syncarpous. The number of locules here, they are equal to number of carpels. So it may be pentalocular or it may be multilocular. And you know that it passes through the gynoecium, the style which is there, it passes through this particular tube here. And then you may have these pentalocular, the stigmas which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are free. So the gynoecium, it passes through, oh my God, the gynoecium, it passes through that particular staminal tube, right? So that's done. So it is fused. So here you can see the floral formula: bracteate, actinomorphic, bisexual, epicalyx 3 to 7, calyx they are around 5, they are fused, corolla they are 5, they are free, androecium they are many, they are fused, adelphous, monadelphous, one tube, staminal canal, epipetalous, gynoecium 5 to many, and they are fused there, and polycarpillary or multicarpillary, and similarly multilocular or what you call as pentalocular. Here you can see the diagram. So as I told, this is the epicalyx, this is the calyx. You can see the corolla with the twisted estivation. You can see here many androecium which are attached. You can see it is attached to the petals here. यहाँ पे ध्यान रखना है कि वो पेटल को अटैच दिखा है क्या नहीं. So it is epipetalous, and here you can see that this is pentalocular, right? And here you can see that the placentation is exile. We all know, you all eat bhindi, right? So you all have seen in the bhindi that the placentation which is there, that is exile. Some examples to give here. Yeah, before that you remember that the seed is non-endospermic. It doesn't have endosperm. You remember the seeds which have endosperm, they are called as albuminous seed. Don't tell anyone. And the seeds which do not have endosperm, they are X-albuminous. This has nothing to do with your X, right? So we know that generally your dicots which are there, they are X-albuminous, right? They don't have endosperm because they are cotyledons, right? You have an example of dicot which is albuminous. Anyone knows a dicot which has endosperm? Anyone knows a dicot which has endosperm? Yes. Anyone knows a dicot which has an endosperm? Remember, it is your castor, right? So castor, it has what is called as your, it is dicot, and it also has the endosperm. Monocots generally, they have endosperm, so they are albuminous, but there is one monocot which doesn't have the endosperm. Yes, you all remember, it is orchids, right? Coming back here now, so seed is non-endospermic. Examples, you have this okra or bhindi. The oils you get, the gossypium, the cotton one which you get, oil is rich in vitamins like vitamins A, D, B, K, not K, ADEB, right? The musk seed oil that is used in the perfumes, right? You get cotton fibers, they are surface fibers. You see the seed on the surface, it has those fibers. You know what cotton fibers are made of? Anyone knows what cotton fibers are made of? People are getting irritated maybe. Anyways, but now you have to study, so I just cannot be too slow because we don't have that much time. We have 5 more families to be done. But then cotton fibers, anyone knows what is this cotton fibers? Yes, the cotton fibers, they are your cellulose, and you all know that cellulose is a polysaccharide, and you all know that is made of glucose units. Great. So it is your surface fibers. You may have soft fibers or bast fibers like patua or patson. All your hemp plants, they belong to this category. You also get timber, the balsa timber, the mallow timber, which you get the softest timber. You can get the medicine, the Urena repanda, the roots of which are used in hydrophobia, the rabies, right? Many are used as ornamentals like your China rose or shoe flower or a hibiscus, what you call as hibiscus rosa sinensis, right? So that is belonging to this particular family. So you know the red shoe polish which is there that you prepare from this China rose. You also have this holy hawk gulekhira which you get from use as an ornamental. The leaves are blue. You can get this blue color from the leaves, right? So this is your family of Malvaceae. To have a quick revision about some disorders of your kidney. Oh, I came to this kidney because then I thought that there might be some disorders. As I told, I have labeled this video as a random revision. So we'll go into the kidney, then we'll go into the lungs, and we'll go into the flower. Because at the end in the exam, you have to give all of these. Anyways, so going back to the kidneys, you know, accumulation of urea in the blood. It is called as what? Uremia. So a patient who is having a lot of accumulation of urea in the blood is suffering from what is called as uremia. And such particular patients, you know, they have to go for what is called as hemodialysis. And I have to, not to miss any point, I got it written one by one from the NCERT. So the blood is drained from a convenient artery. So remember, our blood nikalne kisne wale se artery. Many of the times what happens is, while reading the chapter, you start from the start. Obviously. So you start from the start, but when you come at the end, you are like this. So many of the times the questions, they come from the end part. So I've decided that I'll take the end parts of the chapters, right? So end part here is like the blood disorders, the kidney disorders. So you take the blood from a convenient artery and put it into this dialyzing unit. And that particular dialyzing unit is the artificial kidney, remember. And that artificial kidney, you pump it. And remember, while pumping it, you add anticoagulant. And that particular anticoagulant, remember, is heparin. So you will take the blood, you will add the heparin, you will put in the dialyzing unit, and now you have to remember that this dialyzing unit is a coiled cellophane membrane. It is a coiled cellophane membrane, coiled cellophane tube, which you are now going to put into dialyzing fluid. So you have this coiled tube, and this is now you have put in a dialyzing fluid. Now this dialyzing fluid is going to have similar concentration as plasma. So it is going to have a similar concentration as plasma, except that will not have nitrogenous waste. So there are no nitrogenous waste here. So there is no nitrogenous waste, and the liquid inside this, the blood which you are draining here, it has those nitrogenous waste. So nitrogenous waste will come from inside to outside. So automatically this pumped out, right? So remember, it moves by concentration gradient. There is no expenditure of energy, or there is no something else which is coming out, but it is through what you call as a concentration gradient that these particular things which are coming out. So dialyzing fluid, it will come out through this particular concentration gradient, and you will find that they move out. The clear bud which is there, it is now put in vein back. And remember, while putting it back into the vein, you are going to add antiheparin. So when it is going to come here, it is going to have that heparin. When it is going to go back, you are going to add antiheparin. So you will collect from the artery, you will add the heparin, you will add in this cellophane tube, you will add this dialyzing fluid. This will not have nitrogenous waste, it will come out. You will add antiheparin and you will put back in a proper vein. So like this you are going to put it, right? So remember, transplant of kidney is required for acute kidney failure. So whenever there is acute kidney or renal failure, require transplant of the kidney, and donor, it has to be a close relative. And this particular close relative, why? To minimize your rejection by your immune system. So to minimize the rejection of immune system, you know that graft rejection generally is a function of whom? Do you remember whose is the function of this graft rejection? It is the T cells, right? So they are the major ones who are responsible for this graft rejection. But you know that there are now immunosuppressive agents. They can ask questions mixed here and there. कि अगर आपका kidney transplant करना है, फिर आप कौन सा देंगे? तो you give it cyclosporin A, which is an immunosuppressive agent, which is obtained from a fungus Trichoderma polysporum. Remember, you remember those three chemicals: Streptococcus, Streptokinase, Clotbuster. Trichoderma polysporum, cyclosporin A, immunosuppressant. Then Monascus purpurus, then you have your statin and blood cholesterol reducing agent. ये तीन आप please याद रखो. So here इसका कुछ नहीं, but मैंने आपको बोला ना mix वाला revision है. And then you have these caliculi, which are called as your kidney stones. So they are insoluble crystallized molecules which you get from the salts of oxalate, which deposit in the kidney. And then your last disease which they are talked about is glomerulonephritis, and it is this glomerulonephritis which results from the inflammation of glomeruli. Yeah. So apart from this, let me go to your bones now. As I said, from your flower to your kidney, now to your bones. So you have around 206 bones. Your endoskeleton mainly made of bones and your cartilage. Axial skeleton, the one which is present at the center of your body, that is your axial skeleton, comprising of your skull and comprising of your vertebral column and comprising of your thoracic cage, right? So your skull, which we are talking about, it is made of your cranium. I don't know inside it has brain or not. But then you have this cranium made of 8 bones. Yaad rakho, cranium mein kitne bones hai? 8, right? Then you have your facial bones. You all keep on doing that facial, right? So that facial bones has how many bones? Anyone knows there? The facial bones, there are how many facial bones? Anyone can tell me? Yes, there are around 14 facial bones. There are how many facial bones? There are around 14. Yes, so there are facial bones which are 14. Great. So you have 14 facial bones. You have 8 cranial bones. Then you have 6 ear ossicles. 3 in this ear, 3 in this ear. Can you name them for me? Malus, incus, and the smallest bone of your body. One is malus, other is incus or incus, whatever you call it. Can you name the third one? The ear ossicle. The malus, incus, and yes, anyone out there? Malus, incus, and stapes. Great. So it is malus, incus, and stapes. So you have these three. It is 6, 22, 8, 14. Then these, and you have that U-shaped bone which is called as hyoid. So many people, they take this hyoid as the bone of the skull. So you come down to around 29 now, right? So that is your this thing, what you call a skull. You know that the skull which is there, it is a dicondylic. We have 2 what you call as occipital condyles, and therefore it is said to be dicondylic. And with that occipital condyle, you connect to the first vertebra. Now you come to a vertebral column which has 26 bones. Which has how many bones? 26. What is a vertebral column doing? Supporting your head. So vertebral column is supporting your head, it is supporting your back muscles, it is providing the, remember, neural canal from which spinal cord is going to pass. So vertebral column has central neural canal from the spinal cord is going to pass. The cervical vertebra 7, yes, the thoracic vertebra 12, then you have the lumbar vertebra 5, then you have your sacrum and coccyx, which are 5 fused 1 and 4 fused 1. So cervical 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacrum 1, coccyx 1. So that comes to around 26, what you call as your bones in your vertebral column. So supporting your head, providing attachment for your ribs, musculature of your back. So that is the basic thing. The 2 vertebrae to remember. The first one is the atlas. The second one, can you name the second one? The first one is the atlas. Anyone knows the second one? Yes, the first is the atlas. And the second one is the, yes, the first vertebra of your cervical vertebrae is atlas. Can anyone name the second one? Yes, the second one is the axis. Remember, your occipital condyle is going to articulate with the atlas, with which you are going to say the yes. You have the exam, it is yes. Then your atlas and axis, they are going to form a pivot joint. So you have that ring-shaped body in the atlas, and then you have that odontoid process of your axis with which you are going to say no. Is your study over? No. Even if you are going to write the exam, the study is not over. So that no joint is there because that is a pivot joint, right? So where were we? So 26 bones. of your vertebral column, and here you have that one bone, that is sternum, right? So that one bone is what is called as your sternum. So to that sternum, now there is attachment of what is called as your ribs. We all know that we have how many pairs of ribs? We have 12 pairs of ribs, right? So ribs on the dorsal side, right? If you see the ribs, there are two articular surfaces on the dorsal side. Remember that. Remember that here they are connected to your sternum, the ribs, and on the dorsal side they are connected to the thoracic vertebrae. So ventrally they are connected to the sternum. Remember these terms. Ventrally it is connected to the sternum, and dorsally it is connected to your thoracic vertebrae, right? So these particular 12 pairs, out of these 12 pairs, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are connected directly here to your sternum through hyaline cartilage. Remember that. So it is connected to your sternum through the hyaline cartilage. 8, 9, 10 are connected to the sternum via the cartilage of the 7th one. Then 11th and 12th, they are connected to the vertebra behind, but they are not connected here. So they are floating ribs. So you have first 7 true ribs, 8, 9, 10 called as 8, 9, 10. What are they called as? They are called as the false ribs. And 11 and 12, they are called as your, what are those called as? 11 and 12? Floating ribs, right? So that is what is called as your floating ribs, right? Then you have what you call as your bones of your limbs. So this forms your rib cage entire. Then these limbs which are there. So you have those girdles and limb bones, right? So you have two girdles. The shoulder one is called as the pectoral girdle. Yes, and the hip one is called as the pelvic girdle, right? So you have how many? You have two. One is pectoral, other is pelvic. The pectoral girdle here is formed with the scapula, right? So it is scapula, the triangular shaped bone, and then you have this collar bone called as clavicle. And the pelvic girdle here is formed of 3 fused bones. You count as 1. It is ilium, ischium, pubis. So pectoral girdle, the clavicle, not the clavicle, that is the scapula. So scapula, if you look at like from your rib side, you will find that it is extending between your 2nd and your 7th rib. So scapula is just present between your 2nd and 7th. Remember that, right? So scapula is present between 2nd and 7th rib, and it has that spine ridge which is coming out, which is called as acromion process. And remember, the clavicle is attached to this acromion process. Below this acromion process, there is a cavity, and yes, thank you. And there is a cavity, and this particular cavity we call as, anyone knows that? Glenoid cavity. So there is a glenoid cavity. So there is a scapula, there is a clavicle, there is a glenoid cavity, and there is a humerus, right? Then you have your radius, then you have your ulna, right? Then you have your carpels, then you have your metacarpals, then you have your phalanges. So phalanges, they are 14, 3 here in each, 2 here in each. So 3 4s are 12 and 2 14. 5 of these are your metacarpals. Then you have 8 of these carpels. Then you have 2 radius and ulna, 1 radius, 1 ulna, and 1 humerus. So 1, 2, 3, 3 and 8, 11 and 5, 16, and 14 is 30. So these are 30. These are 30, so it becomes 60. Here you have the thigh region which you have, that is the femur. And then you have the kneecap, which is the patella. And then you have tibia and fibula. That counts for what you call as the shank region. Then you have this ankle region, which is having tarsals, which are 7 in number. Then you have metatarsals, which are 5 in number. And again, you have those phalanges. Though your पैर के उंगलियां छोटी दिख रही, but they have similar phalanges, so that is 14. So you have 1 femur, 1 tibia fibula, and 1 patella. So that comes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 of your tarsals. That comes to 11, and 5 of your metatarsals. That comes to 16, and 14 of your phalanges. So that comes to 30. So 30, 30, it is 60. So 60 here, 60 here, 120, 1 scapula, 1 clavicle, 122, 1 more scapula, 1 more clavicle, 24, 125, 126. So 126 in the appendicular skeleton. I didn't say that. So the one which is present at the center, that is the axial skeleton. The one which is present on the sides, that is your appendicular skeleton. So appendicular skeleton comprises of 126 bones. So out of those 126, you have 60 in the limbs and 6 in the girdles. In that also 4 in the shoulder girdle, and you have 2 in this pelvic girdle, right? So ileum, ischium, pubis, the fusion. Yeah, the cavity here is acetabulum cavity. So remember the names of the cavity. Here it is glenoid cavity. यहाँ पे कौन सा cavity है बेटा? Glenoid. यहाँ पे कमर में कौन सा cavity है? Acetabulum. जहाँ पे कौन fit होने वाला है आपका? Femur. जहाँ पे कौन fit होने वाला है? Femur. So you have femur, tibia, fibula, patella, tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. It's look like Kathak and then this is your this thing. And you have joints, the place where the two bones they articulate. Remember that is what is called as a joint, right? So these particular joints when we are talking about. So wherever you need a movement, that is joint. The force, remember, is given by the muscles and the joint it acts as the fulcrum. Remember, joints are going to act as the fulcrum. Remember these words, they will ask in the exam. So force कौन provide कर रहा है? Muscle. और joint क्या provide कर रहे हैं? As the fulcrum. So joint is the fulcrum. So you have three types depending on the bones, how they are being articulated. If they are very close and if they are very tight, they are not moving. It is fixed joint. So you have the sutures in the skull. Then you have the joints which are present between the vertebrae. They are cartilaginous joint. And one which have more space and more liquid and more movement, that is synovial joint. So you have this ball and socket joint in your shoulder and in the hip region. You have this hinge joint in the knee region and in your elbow region, that is the hinge joint. Then you have gliding joint here between the carpals here or tarsals there in the leg. And then you have your saddle joint between this thumb here, right? So that particular joint which is there, that is what is called as the saddle joint between the carpal and metacarpal of your thumb. And one which I mentioned is your pivot joint between your atlas and axis. You just tell me in the comment box that the C4 pathway, coming to the plants now. As I told you, have to be prepared for this like that. In the C4 pathway, right, the plants which are following C4 pathway, right, they get saturated at what concentration of carbon dioxide? So you can just comment in the comment box that what is the saturation level of carbon dioxide that is required for saturating these C4 plants with carbon dioxide. So stay tuned with me. I'll be coming back again live in the evening. Thank you. Bye-bye. And if you want a specific topic to be revised quickly like this, you can also leave that in the comment box so that maybe tomorrow or day after I can come and I can like finish it off in a few moments, right? So all the best for your NEET examinations and stay healthy, stay happy, stay cool, but keep studying. Bye-bye. Take care. You know my name. My name is Girish Kukreja. Bye-bye.